I have a confession to make. I am not good at selling stuff. And this is mainly because I'm not here to really sell you anything. I'm not in ministry to make money. I'm in ministry to make a difference. In fact, sometimes because I don't want to come across as pushy or salesy, I don't do a very good job at letting you know the resources that I have to offer that could help you or your ministry. So today I want to talk to you about 7 different resources I offer at ProPreacher.com at the online store there that really might be able to help you. I'm also going to mark these resources off at 20%. So that's right, starting today until the end of July, I'm going to be throwing this big summer sale, 20% off everything at the ProPreacher.com store. The first resource is my sermon calendar. Planning your sermons takes a lot of time, and one of the best ways to get ahead and get organized and save time is to have an organized template. So I created what I think is a beautiful spreadsheet designed to help you focus on planning an entire year of sermons. And if a spreadsheet isn't really your thing, I've also created a full-page PDF document that you can use to lay out on a table or put in front of you or bring to a meeting and write all over it if that's more your style. And these calendars also include options for US holidays or not. If you don't want them, or if you don't live in the United States, that's cool. But if you do live in the United States, it helps to be able to see those right there on there, so you don't have to look them all up and be like, when's Easter next year? When's Christmas? When's Father's Day, Mother's Day, all these different things. So for just a few bucks, what you can do is save yourself the headache of creating a template and looking up all the dates and the holidays, and you can start doing the work that really matters, seeking God for wisdom on what to preach and what to teach your church. The second resource I have for you is a funeral sermon bundle. Now, officiating a funeral service is probably the worst part of being a pastor. I mean, you hope you never have to do another one, but the reality is that people in your church and people in your community, they will die. And sometimes it's expected, and sometimes it's tragic and sudden. And funerals, they really never happen when it's convenient for your ministry. I mean, you'll be having a busy week and suddenly the funeral gets added to your schedule. And so instead of dropping the ball on all your other responsibilities that you still have to do, you need to be prepared. You've got to be ready for when these things happen, because they will happen. So what I did is I took mine, I compiled all the funerals that I have performed, and I put them into a bundle just for you. So you're going to get 5 complete editable funeral ceremony documents, 1 for a general funeral for a believer, 1 for a non-believer's funeral, 1 for a funeral for someone who had a tragic death, 1 for a funeral for someone who had a long battle with an illness, and 1 for the loss of a child. Now, I hope that you never have to use these, but we all know it's inevitable that you will need them. In fact, I had to perform a funeral for the tragic loss of a 16-year-old boy in my ministry a few months ago, and it was heartbreaking. But I was able to use my loss of a child sermon that I had saved, and God used that to really help and minister to a lot of hurting people. Now, on a brighter note, the third resource I have available for you is my wedding sermon bundle. And officiating weddings can be one of the happier moments of ministry, right? I love performing weddings and being part of the beginning of a couple's commitment just to love each other for the rest of their lives. Beautiful, beautiful thing. And now you'll have more time to schedule your weddings than you will with funerals, but again, with all the demands of ministry, you need a set of wedding sermons in your toolkit. Now, this will save you a ton of time and stress for your next wedding. You'll get a traditional ceremony from 1 Corinthians 13, one of the more popular wedding verses, a traditional ceremony from Ephesians 5, a short and sweet ceremony, a modern ceremony from Genesis chapter 2, and also a vow rededication ceremony. So if anyone wants to rededicate their vows, you can help them with that as well. As a bonus, you'll also get my wedding planner sheet, which will help you when you first meet with the bride and groom to ask them different questions and to plan out some elements that you're going to want to plug into these sermons. Now, resource number 4 is the Preaching Nuts and Bolts book. Preaching Nuts and Bolts is the first book that I wrote about preaching, and it's a practical guide to getting better at the art of sermon preparation. This book will help you learn how to master the art of sermon preparation from the ground up, how to save time writing messages, how to have your sermon written weeks, even months in advance, what it takes to be a successful preacher, and a whole bunch more. Now, resource number 5 is my book, Preach and Deliver. Preach and Deliver is the second book that I've written, and it's essentially a follow-up to Preaching Nuts and Bolts. And Preaching Nuts and Bolts was all about sermon preparation, and Preach and Deliver is all about, you guessed it, the delivery of the sermon. So what are the essential components of good preaching? Now, in my years of education on a bachelor's and a master's level from some really great Christian institutions, I learned the message of the Bible. But I didn't learn how to deliver that message most effectively. And it took me a decade of failure, learning from other great preachers, and years of research to learn what I've written about in this book for you. So this book will help you think through the way that you deliver a sermon, the nuances of things like body language, eye contact, gestures, and more things like that. This way you can preach the gospel in an even more powerful way that grips the hearts and the minds of your audience. Now look, we know that reading a book isn't going to make you a better preacher. It's a start, okay? But the big difference is in taking action and applying what it is that you've learned. So if you do the challenges in this book, I guarantee that your sermon delivery will improve, but you got to put it into action. Resource number 6 is the Productive Christian Journal. Now, this is a tool that I created for myself. In 2015, I was working full-time as a pastor and pulling late nights to finish my seminary degree. My wife was also working night shifts as a nurse, and we also had 2 little kids at home. So she had the kids in the morning, I had them after work, and then we saw each other every now and again somewhere in between there. And I was so busy doing everything else that I was not taking care of myself. Maybe you've been there before. My life was out of control, and I was spiritually, physically, mentally, and just emotionally just drained. I needed a better way to stay focused on the most important things and get more done in less time. So in 2016, I began playing around with this productivity journaling system, making small tweaks here and there as I went, studying what was working for other people. And using this system over the next few years, I started waking up early, studying the Bible, more exercising every day, spending more time with my family, and accomplishing big goals with the little time that I had. Now, the journal didn't do that work for me, but it sure did help. And I created this journal for myself, like I said, but if you need help getting more done, staying focused on your goals, and starting a daily routine to change your life, I think this journal is going to help you out too. All right, the 7th and final resource is my online course, Best Preaching Year. Best Preaching Year is an online course designed to help you get ahead on sermon preparation so that you can save time, stress less, and preach better sermons. Now, by the end of this course, you're going to have 4 to 6 weeks of sermons written in advance. You're going to have 12 months of sermons planned. You're going to have a system to save time on preparing your sermons every week that's going to work for your unique schedule. Plus, you're going to get more organized, less stress, have better preparation, and be more effective in general as a preacher. I've got a lot of great feedback on this course so far. It's going to take a deeper dive into the content of preaching nuts and bolts, and including a ton of bonus resources like my sermon calendar, a whole bunch of sermon ideas, and a whole lot more. By the way, I'm probably going to be reshooting this entire course because my video production and editing skills have really improved tremendously since filming that course. I've invested a lot of the money back in getting more gear and more equipment and learning more myself. But the content is still fantastic. And if you buy this course, you get lifetime access. And that includes any future updates, which could easily increase the price of the course. So you can lock in the course now until the end of July for 20% off. Normally that's a $97 course, but you can get it now for just over $77. So there you have it. Those are all the products and the resources that I am currently offering at ProPreacher.com. And I have a few more things in the works that I hope to tell you about in the coming months. But for now, I hope you look them over, see if it's something that might be helpful for you. And remember, I don't want something from you, I want something for you. I'm not trying to just take your money. So if for any reason you aren't satisfied with your purchase or you're not interested in these products, that's cool. I even offer a money back guarantee on all of them. So if you don't like it, you don't have to worry about the investment. My only goal here is to help you all just grow in your influence and ability to preach the gospel. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.